Ready to go? Okay, well today we are sending a very clear message that unlawful and criminal behaviour will not be tolerated in Queensland casinos. This morning I made recommendations to the Governor and Council which were accepted to impose the following disciplinary action on Star. Pecuniary penalties and fines totalling $100 million. A 90-day suspension of their casino licences, which will be deferred for 12 months until December 2023, and the appointment of Mr Nicholas Weeks as a special manager. Essentially, this means that Star has 12 months to get their house in order if they do not want to see a 90-day suspension of their licence. These penalties have been considered very carefully following the damning findings from the Gotterson review, as well as considering the responses from Star as part of the show cause process. These disciplinary actions, of course, aim to strike a balance between ensuring that thousands of Queenslanders can remain employed, but also sending that very strong message that what happened here in Star casinos is completely unacceptable.
Attorney General, do you think these fines will be enough to restore trust with the Queensland people for how Star Casino operates going forward?
This is a significant pecuniary penalty, $100 million, which sends a very strong message to Star that they absolutely have to get this right and they have to get back to suitability. As I've said, that 90-day suspension deferred until December next year essentially means that is hanging over their heads so that they get the remediation right and they return to suitability as soon as possible.
Can you tell us more about the special manager and what he will need to do to ensure Star can meet these requirements?
Yeah, so Nicholas Weeks is the special manager currently in place in New South Wales. So he was appointed by the New South Wales Independent Casino Commission, a very experienced individual. And I think, given that Star really is the one company, it makes sense for the special manager to be working across New South Wales and Queensland. In addition, of course, we will have a manager assisting Mr Weeks here in Queensland. Terry Hamilton, a very experienced individual with experience at Sun Super, looking at counter-terrorism and anti-money laundering. So I think between the two of them, they will have oversight into all operations of Star. I know that they will begin by doing a root cause analysis about how these unlawful and criminal acts came to happen in casinos. And again, I think it makes sense to have that collaboration and cooperation between regulators across different states, because it means that the casino can't play one regulator off against the other. Yeah, so Destination Brisbane Consortia were not issued a show cause notice, obviously, because they're not operational. But Star, being the major partner, has been found to be unsuitable. So, again, the future of Queen's Wharf and the casino licence is really in Star's hands. They will have to do everything they can to become suitable by the time Queen's Wharf wants to open. And of course, if they are, doing well and getting close to suitability by the time the casino wants to open, we of course will look at putting special conditions on their casino licence, for example, to have a special manager in place. So at the moment, it's obviously not urgent to have any remediation work happening with the Queen's Wharf casino licence holder because they're not operational, but those conversations will happen next year. And again, I want to make it very clear that the future of Queen's Wharf is in Star's hands.
When you say suitability, are you talking about that they have to watch who is allowed to play at their casinos and that they put in anti-money laundering practices? What are you talking about?
So you have to be suitable to hold a casino licence here in Queensland. And clearly what we saw coming out of the Gotterson review, where there was that one-eyed focus on profits, where they did not really resource their anti-money laundering policies. They did not take it seriously. They allowed patrons excluded from New South Wales into Queensland casinos, and they lied to the regulator and their bank about the nature of China Union Pay transactions. So clearly they're the actions of a company that is not suitable to hold a licence. So they will need to put in place remediation works within their company to ensure that this never happens again, that there are strong checks and balances so that they are considered suitable to hold a casino licence. Sorry?
12 months ago.
Well, again, that's up to Star. So we've got a very experienced special manager on board. We'll have a full-time person based here in Queensland to assist those remediation works, they will need to do everything they can to become suitable within 12 months.
A number of these issues went on for a number of years. Why did it take so long to get to this point to start again?
Well, as Mr Gotterson found, Star lied. The Office of Liquor and Gaming here in Queensland was asking the appropriate questions, was trying to get answers from Star, and they were not truthful with the regulator. They were not truthful with their own bank. This is why we have taken this action today. This is very strong message that criminal behaviour, that unlawful behaviour, that one-eyed focus on profit above their corporate social responsibility will not be tolerated in Queensland.
Star obviously proved that it wasn't able to show cause within the last few weeks that you had to implement this 12-month period.
Well, again, we took into account what Star had to say during that show cause period. You know, they made submissions on what would be appropriate penalties. We have considered that, and I think we have landed in a very strong position to send that very strong message.
But you weren't confident they were ready right now?
Well, that was only a few weeks. I think with the appointment of a special manager and the work that has already been underway in New South Wales, as I said, they have 12 months to get their house in order.
When you say 12 months, does that mean you at the end of 12 months? How will we know this is successful?
So he will work very closely with OLGR over the course of 12 months. So we've appointed him for 12 months, and there will be regular briefings to myself as the relevant minister and OLGR as the regulator. No, they still hold the licence, but the special manager is in place to oversee all operations of the casino and lead that remediation work so that they have the right corporate structures in place so that this doesn't happen again.
Have you had discussions with management? Have they given you reassurance that they're ready to pick up here?
I haven't, but I know that the Commissioner for Liquor and Gaming has had conversations with the new CEO and she was briefing him whilst I have this media conference.
Is the 12 months an act of good faith on the part of the Queensland Government, or are you waiting to see the goods of what they can produce?
Well, I guess we are waiting to see just how far they are prepared to go to become suitable once again in Queensland. But on the other hand, it is also a show of good faith, particularly for those Queenslanders, thousands of Queenslanders employed across Queensland. It is about striking the right balance. I think it's in the public interest for those Queenslanders to continue to be employed, but at the same time, doing everything we can, sending that very strong message with $100 million in fines that this can't happen again.
Yeah, you just mentioned the public interest. Given Star's infractions over a long period of time, do you think that now would be an appropriate time to release to the public things about Queensland investments such as cost-benefit analysis, social impact studies, even what the consortium was paying for the 2016?
Look, as you know, all of those negotiations are commercial in confidence, but again, please rest assured, and I want Queenslanders to have confidence, that we will be working very closely with the licence holder for Queen's Wharf to ensure that either Star is suitable by the time it opens or there will be conditions placed on its licence so that Queenslanders can have confidence that they are operating in accordance with Queensland law.
We always hear commercial in confidence. I mean, this public not have a license like this. It seems to be a go-to reason for not releasing commercial in confidence.
Well, that's the nature of those agreements when you have those confidential negotiations with the government. But I understand that Queenslanders want to know that Queensland law is being abided by in Queensland casinos. That's why we held the independent inquiry headed by Bob Gotterson that had all of the powers of a Royal Commission to get to the bottom of what was happening in these casinos. That is why we have his recommendations. There will be further law reform for casino regulation next year to implement more of his recommendations. It's why we had the Casino Control Amendment Act pass the Parliament with these significant fines to really send a strong message. So, the public can have confidence with Mr Weeks and Ms Hamilton on board that Star will undertake the necessary remediation works to become suitable to hold that licence once again.
You said that Star isn't suitable to hold the licence. If this were to happen in any other industry, a licence would be removed, like liquor and gaming, or not gaming, that's what we're talking about, but a liquor licence. Why is the government making concessions in this case when in other industries the licence would simply be removed? Why not do that in this case?
As I said, significant pecuniary penalties totalling $100 million and the appointment of special manager to oversee the operations are significant disciplinary action. Deferring that 90-day suspension of the licence is about having consideration for that public interest for Queenslanders to remain employed. But it is a strong message, and as I said, it is hanging over their heads to incentivise them to do everything possible to get back to suitability within 12 months.
Is Star too big to fail? Who else would the state bring in to run these casinos?
Well, I mean, again, that's up to Star. They have now 12 months before this suspension is in place. They've got significant pecuniary penalties here in Queensland. They face significant pecuniary penalties in New South Wales, and they're currently being prosecuted by AUSTRAC. So whether or not Star can get back to suitability is a matter for them. But today, this is about sending that strong message, and it is about significant penalties, but also allowing these casinos to remain open so that Queenslanders can remain employed.
Do you think these conditions will impact their high roll of the IT operations when they do kick off?
That's a matter for Star.
Is the government considering possible alternatives to the Queen's government?
Look, at this stage, as I said, the licence holder for Queen's Wharf has not been issued a show cause because they're not operational. But if Star are not suitable by the time they want to open their doors, then there will be significant conditions placed on their licence.
How is the investigation into criminal title going?
Yeah, so that is still underway. OLGR have hired an external independent company to assist them with that investigation. I don't have a timeline for its completion yet, but I am advised that it is significantly progressed.
There are a lot of criticisms that the terms of reference for the Gotterson review were not clear enough. You've just said that Star has lied to the Office of Disciplinary Gaming. Are you confident that there's no other skeletons in the closet or issues that they're hiding that maybe have been identified?
The terms of reference for the Gotterson inquiry were broader than those for the Bell inquiry in New South Wales, because not only did Bob Gotterson have to look at all of the operations of Star Casino, and we did get significant findings, he was also asked to make recommendations about what else we could do when it comes to regulation of casinos to strengthen our regulation here in Queensland, and he had made significant recommendations on that front. We have already progressed some of them, urgently passing those amendments in the Parliament, and there will be a further bill next year. So I'm very confident that Mr Gotterson, with the full powers of a Commission of Inquiry, has given us a really clear roadmap to strengthen regulation in Queensland.
Just back to that investigation, why did external investigators have to come in? Do you not trust Office of Liquor and Gaming?
Office and Liquor and Gaming made the decision to get independent expert help in, and I thoroughly welcome that decision.
What timeline would you like to see this investigation run?
As soon as possible, and as I've said, I'm advised it is significantly progressed but is still underway.
Will there be a public report released after so we can see the outcome of the investigation?
I'll have to take advice from OLGR. Obviously, if there are any prosecutions that arise from it, then we are limited in what we can communicate to the public, but of course I will endeavour to communicate the outcome of that investigation to the fullest extent that I can.
Just quickly on a coroner's matter, has the coroner's office opened an investigation into the 3 infant deaths at the Mackay Hospital?
I'll have to check that for you, Josh. I'm not aware.
Is that something that you would will be speaking to the coroner, that you have the power to open?
So usually it's a matter for the coroner. Of course, in some circumstances I do have the ability to request that the coroner open an inquest in certain circumstances. So I'll check the status of that inquest or investigation. So there's usually an investigation first and then a decision about an inquest.
On a separate matter as well, 2 young boys have been charged over a violent chemist robbery in Annastacia, and the media can't access court dates or information because of current restrictions. Are you happy with those restrictions?
Look, it is a matter for the individual magistrate about whether or not the court is opened. There are a number of factors in our legislation for the magistrate to consider, and obviously given it's a decision for the magistrate, I'm going to leave it there.
But I guess the default is that the magistrate has to choose, so are you happy that that's the way?
I think when it comes to young people and children, it's probably the magistrate with all of the facts who's best placed to make that decision.
In the sense that it's to other youths who are offending that they can get away with it without their names and faces being...
There's lots of circumstances where young people in the youth justice system have their names published and matters and details published, but as I said, the magistrate hearing the matter who has all the facts is best placed to make that decision.
Stay too young on too soft rather than...
We have the toughest youth justice laws in the nation. Our bail amendments, of course, which reverse the show cause around bail, reverses that presumption, is the strongest in the nation. So community safety is absolutely paramount, and I'm very proud of our track record. Clearly, we need to always be thinking about what more we can do to ensure community safety, but we have very tough laws in place.
Just back on to Star Matters. Treasury Casino has a licence for 1,632 pokies. The Star bosses were on the record saying that they never asked for any additional money to into Queensland. For some reason, the government granted them the ability to have another 900. Can you explain how that came to be?
I'm very happy to get you some more information about that, but certainly we do have a cap here in Queensland on pokies, and there's absolutely no plans to increase that at this stage.
But,
I'm happy to get you that information. I wasn't the minister at the time.
yeah, it is also. Well, can I ask another question then about the bid? Because Queensland Prison were going to rebuild the Riviera. It did in 2015 in their documents. That then vanished from their documents, and instead the government is paying for it. Can you explain that?
Again, I wasn't involved at the time, but I'm very happy to get you that information from the Office of Liquor and Gaming. All right? Thank you so much.